And welcome to another Skip the Noise podcast. Who tonight you'll be joined by your co-host, and I'm saying co-host because typically we are a Three Musketeer type setup, but we will be having the Brown Python, aka Rick, aka the Brown Python, and then of course myself, Ben, aka Mexican Nostradamus, and we're going to be missing our esteemed colleague Benjamin James, who luckily worked a live show, which I heard was fantastic, and he got some props online from a wonderful journalist from
good for him.
I forgot what publication they worked for, but they apparently is a very good article. I
really,
yeah, I'm an old man, so I forget things. So great, thank you for the shout out, and hopefully if they're listening tonight, hopefully we can continue the wonderfulness of our commentary of journalism, and then just kind of telling the news from a balanced perspective, or as balanced as we can get, as we are also three dads. So, but tonight you'll be joined by two of them. Tonight we're going to kind of go through a couple of different things, so just to line up our evening to get your senses tintillating and moving. We're going to be talking about the new fallout with Trump. We'll be also discussing the bailout that's just occurred, aka not bailout according to the Treasury. We're also going to be talking about the recent takeover at HISD. And we're going to be talking about recognizing famous people at the rodeo. And once again, we're going to be kind of visiting upon a very sad, but something that we've been talking about for a while regarding Fort Hood. There's been another unfortunate death. And then, of course, we're going to kind of wrap up and take a look at what Mark Kelly's saying about social media. But to start this one off, and this will probably take a little while, so we're going to kind of try to do our best to not, well, I'm going to try to do my best not to shit on him, but we're going to go ahead and start this one off about Trump. So I think the best way to start this off is to read the man's own words. Well, I mean, whether they're really his own words, I mean, I don't know.
They are his own words, not like that Biden guy.
I don't know. I mean, hold on. So,
no, dude, I think they are his own words because they're all in caps, and
they're all in caps. Hold on.
He forgot to, dude. Anyway, go ahead.
Let me see. Oh no, hold on.
By the
now,
way,
of course, I'm having technical
social.
difficulties. Oh, I think I got it. No, huh?
You don't have Truth Social.
I don't have shoes. Oh wait, here. So I found them here. So Donald J. Trump, released on Truth Social, which is that his, right? It's his social network.
Yeah, that's his baby. Mm-hmm.
He launched into a tirade this morning, and this is how it goes. And mind you, this is all in caps. It's time. We are a nation in steep decline, being led into World War III by a crooked politician who doesn't even know he's alive. Oof.
Yeah, that's true.
But who is surrounded by evil and sinister people who, based on their actions on defunding the police, destroying our military, open borders, no voter ID, inflation, raising taxes, and much more, can only hate our now failing USA. We just can't allow this anymore. They're killing our nation as we sit back and watch. We must save America. Protest, protest, protest. Page 2. Now, illegal leaks from a corrupt and highly political Manhattan District Attorney's Office, which has allowed new records to be set in violent crime and whose leader is funded by George Soros, indicate that, with no crime being able to be proven as based on an old and fully debunked by numerous prosecutors fairy tale, the far and away leading Republican candidate and former president of the United States of America will be arrested on Tuesday of next week. Protest, take our nation back.
Wow. What do you think, Ben? Was it a long time coming?
What, the arrest?
Yeah, do you think it's coming?
I don't know.
Do you want it to come?
No, I mean, okay, look. If anyone follows me, there's like maybe one person that does. I'm Mexican Nostradamus on Twitter. I actually kind of put something on there. I go, like, if you're arresting Trump, you better be arresting a lot of other people too. Right? You better be arresting a lot of other people, because what fraud, unfortunately, and corruption in our government is so systemic that are you just going to have a paddy wagon outside Congress? Because this isn't what he's done. And I think in particular, they're really referencing the whole situation regarding Stormy Daniels and some of the lying regarding that money, because, he's a dirty boy. He did what he did, right? I'm not saying, but that I'm not the morality police, right? That's not my thing. Like, I'm not here to judge people's morality, just like whenever Bill Clinton did what he did, I didn't judge that either. Right. I mean,
I was in high school, so.
Well, but nonetheless, if Bill Clinton's if he getting a blowjob, he's getting a blowjob. And if Trump's, having, banging some porn stars, he's banging porn stars. So, I if you arrest him, then you better hold the bar the same for everybody. That's my thing. That's my thing. Because do I think that this is politically motivated? Oh, I think so. Yeah. I think just like anything else. But at the same time, has he committed fraud? Yes. Yes. But so has every other politician. So this is an interesting precedent, right?
Yeah. And here's the thing now. They're using the political system to go after their political opposition.
Right.
That is a very dangerous precedent, because after that, I mean, you start going down the road of Venezuela, you start going down the road of South Africa, the Congo, Khmer Rouge. That's a very slippery slope when you start using the justice system to arrest your political enemies, but you're not setting the same bar for everyone there.
Yep.
Because if you did, you'd clear out Congress. You'd clear them out. Everybody. All 535 members.
Yeah.
And if let's just say, okay, you want to keep it within the state or within Manhattan, because that's the Manhattan district attorney doing this.
Right.
Dude, do you know how much Wall Street would be empty the next day?
Oh, God.
I mean,
there would be no one there.
It'd be fucked up, man.
Right?
There would be no one there. It'd be, the stock market would have closed because they arrested everybody.
But there would be no stock market.
There'd be no more stock market. But that's a deal, man. That's the road they're going down. And if this happens, if this does transpire, and they start getting the mugshots of Trump, I mean, might as well call it, the one banana republic under God. Really, I mean, it's gonna be very, very dangerous to go down this road. It really is, because who's to say that? Okay, Manhattan did it. Now, why doesn't Texas go after Obama or Biden? Okay, then the next president comes around. Nobody's going to want to be president anymore. We're going to get the shittiest of the shitty people.
We already got
next
that.
Election cycle is going to be Biden Fetterman. Okay,
we already got that. We already got the shittiest of the shitty.
They're going to get. I know, but this is why. Investigation after investigation.
Well,
what's going on? I mean,
and I agree with you to some aspect. I mean, okay, and personally, and as anyone who's ever listened to this, I don't really particularly like Trump, right? I don't think he's a good person for this country. I think he throws tantrums. I just don't think he's good, right? I don't see anything he's really done significant. And he likes to, and he plays a very dangerous language. That's my problem. But to go into actually arrest him, that's a big deal, man, because the raids on Mar-a-Lago were pretty for real, right? Go ahead.
Oh, you're arresting him over payments to a hooker. That's what you're arresting him for.
Right.
How many executives have not paid a hooker and then paid a little extra to shut the fuck up?
Oh boy.
I mean,
oh boy.
Hey dude, that's what it boils down to.
Dude, I thought all corporate executives were very, very astute and very, pious, righteous men who worked hard.
I mean, they are extremely righteous and pious. I mean, they go on to become politicians. So I guess maybe.
I think well, so nonetheless, right? So putting this aside, so I mean, I guess this is a twofold situation, because you have the possibility that he's going to be arrested, right? Yeah. But then you have the other part of this situation, which is he's calling for action.
Yeah.
Very reminiscent of January 6th type shit. So if we break this into two pieces, right? Because this is really a twofold problem. A, we should not be using our legal systems to extract political revenge on people. Like, we shouldn't. That's 100%. Like, we've seen what happened. There was what and I keep messing up the names. There's Savat for the Shah in Iran. You saw how that turned out. KGB. You saw we produced Putin. You know, I mean, you got these the Khmer Rouge. You have what's his name in
Hugo
Africa.
Chavez.
I mean, there's so many where where legal entities were they enforce political doctrine, or exacted revenge. So I don't think that. I think that's should be off the table. I think, if you're doing this, you need to also do this against Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians. Everybody needs to be held to the same bar. But I think the second part of this problem is, once again, we're seeing Trump trying to incite a riot.
Yeah, but okay, if we're going down that road,
right?
Okay,
right.
Don't we need action though? I mean, doesn't one lead to the other naturally?
Well, right, but and I get you, right? But what the problem is, right? And I get you, right? Protests, action, whatnot. The problem with him, though, is he probably fucking did it. I mean, he probably committed the crime. And I'm not trying to say that there isn't other politicians who also. So that's what I don't like about this, is that you need to go ahead and you need to go ahead and arrest Hillary. You need to go ahead and arrest Clinton. You need to go ahead and arrest everyone, right? I mean, there's probably nobody that shouldn't have handcuffs on if you're going to go after Trump. But what I don't like is how Trump is trying to incite a riot. That's what he's trying to do. He wants people to burn shit down because he's scared to save his own ass. That's not a good leader, right? I mean, at least not that I think it is. I mean, you don't see a general, when he's in trouble, start telling his men to lay and die in front of him so that he can live. That's what he's doing. I mean, and I'm not trying to be a dick, but the dude has 6 bodies on him from what happened on January 6th. I mean, that's the real issue. He does.
He was on the other side of the Capitol.
A lady died. She was shot. Several people had heart attacks. There was.
She was led. Okay, they were led in by police. You saw those videos,
bro.
Okay,
but the Secret Service told her to fucking knock it off, and she kept banging through the window and then tried to gain entry. That's when they shot her. That's the story. That's really what happened. There's video of it. Tucker Carlson's not going to show that shit because, well, Tucker Carlson's not an unbiased journalist. He's a fucking, he's not. He's a jerk off. But in the end, that's what I don't like about this. I don't like how he's inciting a riot. I don't like how he's playing this divisionary politics to save his ass. What bigger coward is there than someone who will literally let people die for him, even though he probably
he didn't say riot. Okay, you're assuming that he wants riots, but he said protest.
Okay, once again, I'll retort. It's time. We just can't allow this anymore. They're killing our nation as we sit back and watch. We must save America. Protest, protest, protest.
Yeah.
What else? Same rhetoric he used on January 6th. How did that turn out?
He didn't say burn it down.
No, he didn't it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Same rhetoric he used on January 6th. How can he used a similar tactic then?
Have you seen some tweets from the far left talking about burning it down? I mean,
I'm not saying right. And those people should also be held accountable. But he's saying
protest.
No, but this man has real sway. Like, okay, what was her name? The dumb lady who said burn it down? Burnadette Waters, right? Who was it?
Probably Maxine Waters or something.
Maxine Waters, right? But no one really cares about Maxine Waters, right? They don't. But Trump, no, they don't. They don't. Trump, though, has a diehard following.
And you know what? They'll probably go out there and protest.
They're going to burn shit. If he gets arrested, they're going to burn shit. And then you know what's going to happen? You can have a bunch of yodels and pickup trucks try to fucking storm a maximum security prison.
Nah.
Dude,
Nah,
really? You don't think so? You don't think you're
I
gonna
don't think
have
so.
fucking Jim Bob sitting outside of Yonkers trying to get in, saying that he's a freed American national citizen, and the federal government no longer
No,
appeals
no,
to him.
there should be protests. There should be, because we cannot go
Yes,
down the slippery slope. We
100% there
cannot
should
go
be
down the
protests.
slope.
I agree with
Yeah.
that, but this man is doing it to save his ass. He's not doing it to really save the system. He's a selfish person.
Does it matter? I mean, the
It
system is fucked,
does.
man. The
It does
system is
matter.
fucked already. It's done. We're going down the banana. And is it general surprise that this is what's going to happen in 2023? I mean, you go down this road. Okay,
2022, we were
people,
like, remember when
people,
2022 ended? We were like, okay, this can't possibly continue on.
it continues
And it
on.
continues on.
But here's a problem. When Rome fell, it broke into a bunch of little states, right?
Well,
And
three parts. Three parts.
three parts,
I'm
right?
a
Three
big
independent
Rome
parts.
history person. Yes. Three or
Okay, so
four.
Rome
Yeah.
fell. The problem with today is Rome, if the United States falls like Rome, it's not going to break apart. What's going to happen is you're going to have a banana republic. You're going to have Haiti, okay? Haiti doesn't break up into
No,
separate sections,
I don't think so.
okay?
No, no, no. I think
You're
I think
going to
I think
have
state
corruption.
secessions. I think state secessions. I think you'll see California, Texas pull, like Florida pull away, the East Coast pull away. I think if that were to happen, which I don't think so,
Well,
that's how
why
it would
not
happen.
though?
Well, I
Okay,
don't think so. I don't think so. I think the
you
federal
go
government's
down
still
this,
too strong. Huh?
yeah, the federal government is strong, but they, I don't know, with corruption and ineptness and people who just don't know what the fuck they're doing, it will fall eventually. This system cannot last. You need your
Oh,
best
but
and your
all
brightest
things
to be running
fall.
the government.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All things
it's gonna
fall.
fall.
Nothing
But
lasts forever.
I mean, could we be seeing the end now? I mean, it's been 200 years.
Well, I mean, okay,
Can we be
so
seeing the end? I mean, do you really think it's gonna last 300?
I mean, look, the way I look at it is we had a civil war, and the first, our civil war, the first civil war, I think that was whew, that was pretty rough. So I don't I don't know if modern nations fall apart the way that they did back then, right?
Yeah,
Because we have such vast communications, quick transport, stuff like that. I don't see it falling apart like that. I don't see secession as a reality because I don't think we can, because we have too many neighbors to the north and south that would quickly capitalize a situation. I think there'd be too much of a power vacuum, and I don't think anybody wants that. In all honesty,
you know what it takes though. I'll tell you what. If they want a peaceful breakup, it would take a convention of states to formally to all agree. Hey, we don't need this federal government anymore. Let's split up. Let's divvy up the assets, and we break up into our own countries.
that's kind of how it started, bro.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
how it started,
That's probably how it's gonna end.
but then the states,
A
they tried to
convention of
go against the
states.
federal government, and then they lost because ultimately the states will always lose. I think the states are too
Against the federal
self-serving.
government.
Yeah, states are too self-serving, and I think there's always going to be a component of very weak states that need the federal government and its subsidies to even succeed. I mean, the Midwest. If the Midwest did not have the farming subsidies, basically all the subsidies in regards to mining, coaling, all that shit, they
Yeah,
would be desolate. They're already pretty. I mean, not trying to say anything wrong with the Midwest, but it is already a lot of poverty there. If they didn't have federal government subsidies, they'd be fucked. So I don't think so. I think there's a lot of people that may bitch about the federal government, but actually rely on them to a very high extent, for more even so than the states. So I don't see it breaking up like that. But what I do see is I do see some troubling times ahead, especially with what's happening. I think Trump, once again, is inciting a riot.
he's
And
not inciting a riot.
he is
He's
inciting a
asking for
riot.
protests. You should protest this.
This is the
This
first
is
part.
something
What do you
that
think
should be protested.
what do you think if he actually, okay, so first he put it out there. He's gonna be arrested. But
All right.
if anyone understands legality, if you're indicted, right?
Yeah.
You can go turn yourself in. You don't have to be dragged in and arrested. So if he really wanted this to be peaceful, he would just say, look, fuck, me getting arrested might piss off a lot of people. Let me go over there. bail in, bail out. They probably won't even do that. They'll just indict him, do initial arraignments. He'll go home the same day. Avoid all that controversy.
He
But he
doesn't. He doesn't
wants
want
to
the
paint the
mugshots.
picture. No, he wants
He,
no. He wants to be arrested. He wants to be a martyr. See, that's the hard part, man. He wants this. He wants that martyrdom. Right? If you
you think he
okay,
wants to
do
be
you think
arrested?
Gandhi? Yeah. Do you think Gandhi would have been publishing that shit? Do you think any great leader would want to incite their followers to the point to where they know it's going to be extremely dangerous? No, he wants this shit. He wants the attention. He wants to be arrested. And I think that's even worse. He wants to be a martyr. He's always painted himself as part of this witch hunt. And this is
Which is
just
kind of true.
completing his narrative. No, it is, but same thing with Obama. All 8 years, man. All 8 years, it was a witch hunt for Obama. From whether he was a citizen, whether he was a Christian, whether he was born in this country, Obamacare, everything, dude. Every single thing he did, they fought against. When he said he didn't want to do any more gain of function, they fought against that. I mean, that was one of the first things Trump flipped around.
But there weren't investigations, though.
No, there were. He was investigated continuously.
Okay, there's investigations for shit that he did, right? But then there's investigations for fabricated bullshit like Russian collusion,
bro. They questioned his citizenship,
which he released.
They questioned his citizenship. They thought they called him a Muslim. They said he was a terrorist, bro. It was bad too.
Yeah, but it didn't lead to the loss of freedom or to an impeachment or anything like that.
Right, because I mean, in my opinion, he was a much better fucking president than Trump.
Yeah, but that still doesn't. Who cares who's better, the president?
Well, it's kind of a big deal. It's using the law.
It's using the law to go after somebody, even if it's fabricated, even if it's fake. FISA warrant was fake. Okay, the evidence they presented for the FISA warrant was fake.
Right.
Russian the dossier.
Right.
The whole Russian collusion narrative was fake. Why do you have, if Trump was such a bad guy, why do you have to fake shit? Okay, why do you have to come up with stuff?
Well,
go on the merit. Go on his actions.
But that's the MO of a lot of these law enforcement agencies, right? I mean, there's a lot of faking if they try to solidify the case to a higher degree. And so, yeah, there's that. Unfortunately, that's part of our system, which is something that should definitely be looked at. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Or protested.
But
protested.
The only way that we're going to, but the only problem is, how are we going to do that? How are people going to react to what he said? And do we have real danger coming? That's it. I mean, if he really wanted to make this a non-boilerplate type situation, flashpoint, I mean, he would have turned himself in and walked right out and then announced right there and said, look, this is what's happening. This is not fair. State his case and then say, let his followers go from there. Instead of trying to rile up the troops, he should have just stated what was happening and things could have happened naturally. But instead, he's already trying to jump ahead of this, which, dude, that's kind of fucking crazy. Right?
Well, the thing is, you're right. I mean, yeah, he walks in there, he gets indicted, he walks out. But you're right. Maybe he did do it.
Right.
Maybe it is real.
Right.
The problem is, like you mentioned before, it's the fact that the bar's not held to the same standard with everybody else. Right. So why enforce the law with this one individual but not everybody else?
Right. And I'm with you with that. That's what I'm saying. So that's why I'm saying
that's the problem.
This is a two-folded issue, right? You have this political witch hunt, which I will have to say, I think this has happened to every president, and I think it's part of it's unfortunately it's fucked up.
Yeah.
But then you have also a very narcissistic individual who's calling for civil unrest.
Which there should be.
Well, right, but what kind of civil unrest is okay? Right? If you see people protesting, he didn't like a lot of the protesters during his time. He didn't like none of that shit, but now it's okay for people to protest for him. That's what I'm saying. Everyone should be allowed to protest 100%. I'm with that. But the last time he called for his supporters, oh shit, sorry, my hair bump. The last time he called for people to protest for him, what happened? January 6th.
Well, the feds walked in and let everybody
Okay,
in,
well,
and
now it's the feds, this and that.
I mean, you got
Well,
they hired Ray Epps to go in there and
say
incite people.
whatever you want to say, but
I
people
mean,
were
it was a fedsurrection,
but
really.
people rolled up with handcuffs and shit because some people were really LARPing the shit out of this situation. And when it happened, they're like, "Oh, I get to do it." It's just madness. So that's what I'm telling you. It's a very complicated situation. You have on one hand a political witch hunt, and then on the other hand you have a person who is stoking the fires and doesn't care that people could get hurt with this, right?
Yeah. And on the other hand,
Right.
there's three of them here. You have
I like the third hand.
An unequal justice system. That's apparently now the main.
Ask every black and Mexican kid for the last fucking 100 years.
I was a Mexican kid in the last 100 years. I didn't see any political. I didn't see any bias with the law.
No about that, brother.
I mean,
I did. I saw a lot of it, but it is what it is, and that's what I'm telling you. The system's always been uneven. Unfortunately, it's weird for Trump because he was part of the system, right? He was Mr. Popular in New York for a long time. He was on rappers' albums, and he was Mr. Cool, and everyone said he was like the symbol of wealth and go-getterism, whatever I guess you want to say, gumption. Hell, he had a school. He had his own steaks. But
Trump water. I like that.
Yeah, but anyway, in the end, guess what? He didn't play the game according to the way certain people wanted him to play the game, including his own party. This is not people try to say this is all the libs and stuff, but it's not. His own party. There's a lot of conservatives
it's
that
a
want him
uniparty.
taken out. Yeah,
it's the uniparty.
Yeah, it's the
establishment.
It's the establishment does not want him there. So of course they're going to rally against him the best ways they can. But seeing that this is a possible thing, it's something that we need to be very careful for. And I hope if you are a Trump supporter out there and you want to protest, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. My problem is, what's the best way to put it? My problem with this is that don't buy into the violence of the rhetoric, right? A lot of people think this country they're losing this country, right? Where did my country go?
Yeah.
And a lot of people tend to get very emotional because there is an attachment to the concept of what this country was. And I think that there's a lot of people very scared that what they grew up as, the dream, is slipping away. And so I think people are starting to get ready to fight for that. I think he is unfortunately, the flashpoint that could cause that. So
it's not, and the thing about where's my country gone, it's not that far off of an idea. You have a lot of shit that's happening that's way too fast that you're asking the people too much of. You're asking people to accept, the transition of children based on their sexuality. You're asking their people's employers to consider things like social justice as part of their way of doing business. That's affecting people. I mean, you're asking too much for people to be. I mean, can a person just go to fucking work and come back without having to read their website saying, I don't know. It's just a bunch of bullshit about like things you don't care about. Okay.
Well, okay.
They emphasize too much on homosexuality. They emphasize too much on race. They emphasize too much on shit that doesn't matter. Okay.
Right, because but diversification is important, though. It really is.
Okay. It's important to a degree, but honestly, what makes a workforce strong is when you focus on your shared values, not on what makes you different.
Right, okay? No, right, but but in order to have a true composite of shared values, you must have a diverse workplace. And diverse workplaces have always been shown to be much more productive versus unilateral or mono mind type concepts, which is why diversity is very important.
you and I are pharmacists, right? And we see pharmacists from all kinds of backgrounds and races and religions and
Right.
everything, right? I
Right.
mean, we work with our Southeast Asian counterparts, our African American counterparts from all over the world. They become pharmacists here in America, right?
Right.
But all that is secondary because don't we all care about the patient? Don't we all care about taking care of the person the right way? You know,
Right.
nobody likes to make a mistake,
Right.
right? That's our shared value. We all work together for the same goal of patient care.
Right.
We don't focus on, you know, Arun Patel being from India. We don't focus on, I don't know, Gene Simmons from the Midwest. That's secondary.
Jeez.
I don't
You mean
know,
from Kiss?
dude. I don't know. I mean, we work with our Vietnamese counterparts. It doesn't matter that they're Vietnamese. The fact that they care about people as much as we do, that's what makes us stronger.
Right. Right. And
Okay.
I agree with that. Right. I agree with that. But you must have diverse. But you have to have a diverse population to have true shared values, right? Because being Latin American, you understand the population for the most part better than some other counterparts. So you understand that, like, when you're speaking to a Latin American person, that sometimes they prefer Spanish, sometimes they prefer talking about things in different ways. Why? Because it's a cultural context in there. That's how that's how we are better able to serve these people, right? And it's okay. And that's why sometimes it's okay to have this diversity, even if sometimes it does have to be implemented, because dude, if not, like I said, so in 1995, they ended the affirmative action for Alabama or Mississippi state troopers, right?
Yeah.
So when they had the mandatory hiring, whatever it was, like the minimums.
Yeah.
It was, the minimum was they had to hire. I forgot exactly how many, but it was like 17 or something a year. It went down to 0 and to 1.
All right.
When Brown in the case against the University of Texas, whenever they won their affirmative action suit, that was, of course, during the year that I was applying for colleges, right? I got rejected from UT, but I got into Berkeley.
Okay.
I'm talking, no, we're talking about strong SAT scores. What I'm saying is there's a very hard wall that's been built in to some of these structures, and diversification is important. And I think that's part of that. I think at least that's where that is. But
what about when diversification takes precedent over meritocracy?
That's a fine balance, right? That's the fine balance we all have to play. But I guarantee you there's not a but see, that's very hard to do that with us, though, because there's not a pharmacist that didn't go through pharmacy school to be a pharmacist, right? We're weeded out by the system itself. So meritocracy in pharmacy, or not just pharmacy, but just in medicine, or a lot of those things, are being lawyers. Anything that has a secondary type degree component tied to it, meritocracy is based upon you getting through the program that you've ascribed through, right?
Dude, they're changing that too.
Well, nonetheless, all I'm saying is you still have to pass the test.
Apparently, SAT scores are racist now. I mean,
they kind of are.
Exams but
they kind of are. They kind of are. I'm not going to.
No, they're not. That's bullshit, man. Seriously.
I think I'm not rather racist. I think they're more slanted towards wealthier people, right? I think the ACTs were actually the more balanced of all the tests.
Did they talk about their ski trip in Aspen? Is that what they talk about? The
Both of them is like, well, Bunny and Buffy both.
So when you put up a sail,
I know.
Which side is starboard?
How much sailing did you do yesterday? Oh no,
that's an SAT question. Which side is starboard?
Well, no, ACT was actually. I think they did a big study about it, but ACT was always more diverse. Anyways, so varying off of the long ass road we just went down, we have Trump. He's crying. He wants to start shit, but at the same time, he has a point, right? These political revenge cases being perpetrated by local governments against him, our state governments rather against him. Kind of scary. So it's a sick precedent to set. I mean, like you said, what's going to happen if Biden loses? Will Will the state of Florida
Florida,
persecute
yeah.
him? Prosecute him for the Hunter Biden stuff? Or for him, and his paper issues. I don't know. But I know one thing though. Despite all of this, $200 billion in assets are completely being backed up by the federal government. And it took less than 28 hours to secure all of that. Pretty fucking amazing how fast the government can move if it's for rich people. So, and if anybody doesn't know, if you've been under a rock, I highly doubt you have. You've noticed that your 401k is taking a shit and laid a big nasty egg all over your ability to ever retire. But beyond that, SVB Bank, who became insolvent because they played a massively horrible bet on bonds and then had a cash run, basically has been bailed out by the federal government, even though the federal government says it's not a bailout. It is.
It's a fucking bailout.
Huge bailout. So, proud representative. So basically what happened was bank went broke, fucked up, made a horrible bet. Had a cash run because everyone realized that they were going to crap. Their value tanked by 70% on their stock, basically became insolvent. What happened immediately was they were backed by the federal government. So I think SVD went down Thursday or Friday. As soon as they went down, there was calls for FDIC, which for most normal people realize that if you have up to $250,000 per bank account, your money is protected by the federal government. So if let's say you go to Bank of America and there's a big close sign, your money is protected if you have less than $250,000. Roku, on the other hand, had $487 million in one account, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, it's very stupid.
Right. Roku and several other tech startup firms, stuff like that, had hundreds. So to put this in perspective, SVB as a bank, 98% or 97% of its lenders and stuff actually all had more than $250,000 in the bank. They were primarily an investment bank for tech startups and stuff in that area. I think they didn't do very much like, hey, I need to order some checks type shit. These guys were those type of mover shakers. Well, under the FDIC law, none of those guys would only up to 200. So Roku's 487 million would only be protected up to 250,000. But somehow, magically, in 28 hours, all of those deposits were backed. As what's her name? Janet Yellen? Yeah. Janet? Yeah. The Treasury lady. She basically said, we're going to backstop them because of the fact that we're going to try to prevent something known as contagion. And at the same time, due to the circumstances of this situation, we're going to make everyone's money whole. And so everyone will have full...
That's bullshit, bro.
Right. It is bullshit. So they're going to make everyone's money whole. They're going to back everyone's deposits. Now, the interesting thing was Janet Yellen was asked on this Thursday, which was a week after the collapse, by, I believe, someone from Oklahoma, representative from Oklahoma. And he said, well, what about, and he kind of just said a generic Oklahoma regional bank. Are you going to back all their people? What she reported, well, no, I don't see us doing that for them if their bank went down. Because, their bank doesn't have the possibility of causing contagion or couldn't, destabilize the markets.
Too big to fail, huh?
Yeah, too big to fail. But while this is all happening, it's been over 6 weeks since a train derailment in Palestine, Ohio, and we still don't have fucking testing about what's in the soil and water over there. But ladies and gentlemen, 28 hours, the United States government backs $200 billion. But it's been almost 6 weeks and they can't either Biden can't visit the area, nor have they really truly sent the EPA out to do all the testing necessary to see whether or not this shit's toxic.
Or what's the plan? Are they going to take out 5 inches from the dirt for the next,
Exactly.
for
Are we
200
gonna
square miles? I
Fukushima this
mean,
shit? Yeah, are we Fukushima this shit? Are we gonna declare it a natural disaster? Are we gonna then pay all these people for their rightful values for their homes so that they can leave a gross, a poisonous place? No, none of those people are being bailed out. None of them are. I mean, there's a provision in Obamacare, right? Say what you want about Obamacare, but there's a provision that if there's like some type of like natural disaster or federal emergency in that thing, that Obamacare covers all healthcare 100%. Mind you, these people are drinking poison, right? 10, 15
they
years
have to.
from, yeah, guess what? In 10 or 15 years, guys, you're not going to see it the first day. This shit happens 10 or 15 years when you have these cancer clusters, right? Like the Aaron Brockovich type shit. You don't see the problems immediately. I mean, yes, you see some birds die, you see some things like that, you see dead fish, but you don't really see the end until later. And I think the Obamacare provision would actually help with that.
Dude, no. I mean, you're right. 10, 15 years from now, you're going to start seeing cancer clusters. But what about 1, 2 years from now when you start seeing birth defects,
Exactly.
miscarriages?
Mm-hmm. Miscarriages, birth defects. And Obamacare would actually cover that 100%. But they still don't want to declare this an emergency area. Why? Because it makes their, it makes what's it called, Norfolk Southern look like they're a bad guy.
Because they are.
Right. And that's the fucking truth. But this, once
man.
again, what is the common denominator? If you're a billionaire, and if you're rich, you get bailed out. But if you're a regular person, you don't. And I'll tell you right now, what's going on with the SVB is a horrible precedent for this world, because if these banks are basically given carte blanche to do whatever they want with your money, and then when they fuck up, no, okay, it's cool. Well, what keeps you from not going all out? I mean, basically, they're playing with monopoly money because it's not really real to them, because they're not going to lose anything if they lose it. Do y'all know that SVB Bank, they paid out millions in bonuses hours before the regulators took over?
Yeah. Oh, dude. Hours. Not only did they pay out billions of bonuses, but the higher-ups sold a bunch of stock. They sold their stock months in advance.
Yep.
Then they give themselves bonuses.
Yep.
Then they let the shit fall.
Yep. And guess what,
Why?
folks?
Because the government knew. The government was going to bail them out anyway.
Well, no, they knew. They knew what was going down.
They knew
so
it.
They sold it. They didn't care. So you know what they did? They're like, they didn't give a fuck about people not being able to get their money out of the bank. And then they keep trying to act like this is some mom pop bank. This is not. These are billion-dollar startups. That's what they are. They're not. This isn't like, Jim's power washing service. This is Roku. This is, whatever the type of tech. Yep. And guess what? No one cares. And when those guys were like, oh, well, I need my money, federal government moved quick. But when you see people posting videos of dead fish in rivers, what happens? You see people, these fucking banks, if you don't, you miss one mortgage note, you miss your mortgage, they're taking your house. They're not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's okay when they mess up.
Fuck.
Right. It's okay when they mess up. Yep. They don't care. Oh, you need to pay us right now. But when it's them, it's like, well, we're sorry, made a mistake. But, that's the most fucked up part about all this, is that's what's happened. And that's where we're at. And it's just sad to see. And it is a bailout. And I don't care what, everyone can try to say this or that, or, we're trying to keep the system from crashing. Ladies and gentlemen, the system needs to crash. And this is from someone who has substantial 401ks, investments, and stuff like that. At some point, the system has to crash, because guess what? There's not going to be a future for my kids in the financial market. I mean, we're already seeing gross inflation. What do you think is going to happen? And this is runaway inflation. They can't
control this.
No, the average house price has gone up 40% in 2 or 3 years. People talk about I think people always like to talk about other countries and their inflation. Guys, we just fucking went through substantial inflation, like 30-40%. That's fucked up. And while this is happening, no one's really helping anyone. But Congress can step in to make sure that the billionaires, that Roku can get their money. But it can't help people who don't have clean water, can't help people that are losing their homes, can't help people that are watching their money devalue every minute. But they sure as fuck will tax you for it. They sure as fuck make sure you pay. They sure as hell want their money from everybody else. But if you're a billionaire, you're not. I mean, I think I was looking at the effective tax rates for billionaires. It's like 1% to 2%.
Yeah.
That's all they're paying, guys. 1% to 2%. That's it. And here we are. It's fucking madness. I mean, what do you think about that? Wow, shit, man.
Oh, dude. No, you said it. You said it, man. You said it. I mean, I couldn't say any better than that. What? Yeah, it's very fucked up. You know what? You know what also pisses me off? The Biden administration put out their budget, and the talking heads in the news are like, well, if the Congress doesn't approve this budget, we're going to see the end of Medicare. Oh, we're going to see the end of Social Security. Oh, we're going to see people's benefits for soldiers. I'm thinking, like, why don't they ever talk about how if we don't pass this budget, we lose funding for Ukraine? Oh, we lose funding for bailouts. We lose funding. That's never a concern.
Right.
There's always infinite money for shit like that.
Yep.
But why is it that the first thing that goes out is the benefits to help the mass?
Oh, yeah.
We never talk about ending, no one's ever concerned that if we don't pass this budget, we're not going to fund the Ukraine war anymore. Oh my God, what's going to happen?
Right.
Oh, we're not going to have enough money to bail out banks. Well, no, we've got to pass this budget now. That's
right.
That's never the subject.
Nope.
It's always the little people that get it.
Yep.
And this is perfect. What you just said is a perfect example of that. We can't get the EPA to go out there. We can't get the president to go out there to just tell people like, hey, everything's gonna be fine. We can't even do that. Those are cheap words. We can't even get that.
Yep. Just some comfort. Just consoling.
Some comfort, something.
But they're quick to write a check for a billionaire because some billionaire's crying about how he can't make his money.
We got money for that. That'll never end.
Nope.
We got infinite money for that. We don't have money for Medicare and Medicaid or 401ks.
Exactly. So we don't have, and we can't do anything, but we could sure as fuck make sure that SVB Bank has all their money. And then in the same sentence, say if it's a regular small bank, we can't help them, but we can help we can help SVB Bank. It's fucking bullshit. It's just ridiculous that we continue to sit here while this is happening, and it's just sad. It's just very sick. It's very sad, and this bailout.
You got to protest, right? See, now you know where that's coming from.
I don't think so. I don't think that's how it works out, because guess what? You see what I mean, and I'm not trying to pull this one here because we have enough topics tonight. But you see in France, they raised the retirement age by 2 years, right?
Oh, and those French know how to riot.
Well, guess what?
What? Still
went through.
The French had a revolution that we're still talking about.
I understand.
I mean,
I understand, but guess what?
They know how to revolve. How's that?
It's not the same, dude. It's not the same, bro, because even with their protesting, they're blowing up in anger and firing Roman candles at the cops, Macron still did it. We're no longer the society controlled by people. We're the society controlled by oligarchs. We're the society controlled by billionaires. And then it just once again shows.
Billionaires.
Yep. It's just billionaires in a club. Billions and billions and billions and billions and stuff.
Well, here's the shitty part of this whole thing is that while they gave, was it 200 billion or something to SVB Bank or whatever, was it?
Yeah.
It was 200 billion that they gave to SVB Bank. That only adds to inflation. And inflation, what inflation does is it gets rid of the middle class.
Yep.
You start to look like the Philippines. You start to look like Thailand. You start to look like these third world countries where there's hyper rich and hyper poor and nothing in the middle.
Yep.
Okay. That's what inflation does, and that's what this bank bailout just did. It just increased inflation a little more.
Yep.
It just and what to do what? To bail out billionaires. So the hyper rich just became more rich.
Yep.
And by association, the middle class and the lower class of America just got lower.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
yeah,
You don't
because we
see,
can't afford shit anymore.
yeah, you're not bailing out small businesses, right?
No, you're not.
The very, I love you. I love how
You're not
everyone
building out
preaches.
restaurants.
Yeah, I love, well, everyone preaches about the small business, right? They talk about, that's the heart of
That's
America
Main
is our
Street.
small businesses, and they don't give a shit about them because they're not
No,
getting
they
bailed
don't.
out. There's no real subsidies to help them out. There's nothing. So once again,
No.
stuck in the same quagmire, the same juxtaposition of we love America, we're freedom, we're this, we're that, but only if you're rich. Are we really going to help you? Because on your backs, we're going to build everything. I mean, there's a reason why your 401k is controlled the way it is through the stock market. That's why you can't really do much with it.
I
Because
you know
without
what though?
401ks, dude, without
Yeah.
401ks, stock market
Oh,
goes kabloats. There's nothing there anymore. Nothing.
here, this is okay. This is how I wish we could fix this problem. Okay, you want to know how?
How?
I think we should make military service mandatory
Oh boy.
for all young people. No, no,
Oh
no.
boy.
Hear me out. Hear
There it
me out.
goes.
This is how you do it.
There it goes.
All right. The reason why we have so many problems in this country, like the ones we're having now, is because people don't leave this country to see what else is out there. Okay. Do you think, your standard American can travel to a third world country and see life over there? If they did, trust me, they would come back over here, not want it to happen here. Okay.
Right.
They would go to the, like I mentioned before, they'd go to the Philippines, they'd go to Mexico, they'd go to South America, and they would see how bad things are over there and how things turn to shit real fast, and what a country without a middle class looks like.
Oh
Because
yeah.
it's fucking scary.
And that's
It
what's
is
happening.
very scary.
It's like that. And if anyone gets
I've
bored, you can
seen
listen to I rant about that the other week when we talked about this.
I've traveled a lot, this, Ben, and I've seen a lot of countries without a middle class and how
Yeah.
that shit looks, and it's fucking scary.
Yeah. I mean, that's
And
where
that's where we're
our
headed.
family came from. My family came from a place, from Mexico. There is no middle class.
And
There's very poor and there's very rich.
Very poor, and you know what it is? There's more poor than rich.
Yep. Yep.
And you know what? If our young people saw that through military service,
yep,
they'd come back to this country and treat it a little bit differently.
Maybe. Well, no, I think. Oh, I feel you. I think experience. I think having a more worldly perspective. I think that would help a lot.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's not really what we do, right? And everyone says America's the greatest. That's it. No one sees.
It can be.
Well, it can, but it also at the same time, though, there is that hubris, and unfortunately, hubris always leads to what? The fall. When we think we're too great, when we think we're the best, when we think that we even have the concept that God chose us over everybody else in the world. We have that.
Isn't it Israel? God's chosen people?
No. God is our no. We even have that hubris.
I mean, God did bless Texas. You know that with His own hand.
Stars and bright, big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. But I get that. But we do have that. People do have that hubris, and I think there's quite a bit. So yeah, that always could lead to the fall. But I know one organization. Well, not one organization. I know one place that has definitely fall pretty quickly the last couple of weeks, and that is HISD. So this is more of a kind of a nice little
local story.
Local story. But apparently, the Texas Education Agency announced Wednesday the state would take control of HISD, which has 274 campuses.
By the way, hold on, Ben. HISD is Houston Independent School District.
Yes. I'm sorry. Best way. Yes. You guys would probably be sitting there going, "What the fuck is he talking about?"
Yeah. What the fuck is HISD? Is that an STD or something?
Yeah, I know. Oh no, the Houston has. Oh boy. Well, so just to let you know, this is the 8th largest school district in the country. It has over 274 campuses and at least 200,000 students. Of course, it's been met with not so much happiness. Our fanfare regarding that from certain parts of HIC, but it's actually a pretty split, I think, even decision. There's some people who are like, this is horrible. And then there's other people who are like, well, it needed to be because of the bloat and the corruption within
it's
HIC.
Too big.
Yeah,
it's too big.
Well, we all know really what's happening, right? We
Well, what
all
is
know
happening? Let's hear it.
well, Abbott's pushing for what he wants, which is
There you go.
he
There it
wants
is.
he
There it
wants
is.
school vouchers, right?
If he
So
wanted school vouchers, he would just wave his hand and make it happen.
it's already happening. So just to continue reading this part, in recent months, Texas Governor Greg Abbott has been visiting schools across the state to gather support for school vouchers. Just last week, Texas state lawmakers introduced legislation that, if passed, would give parents $8,000 in taxpayer money to send their children to private schools. Big deal. It's a big deal, man. It's a big deal. So if you take out one of the biggest districts and you start giving people choices, what happens, right? Does private education then take over? And so I think this is part of that game, right? Plus, Abbott doesn't like Houston. Houston doesn't like Abbott. There's a lot of a war between the
We
two.
love Abbott here. We love Abbott.
No, they do.
I make my employees go and cheer for him. Okay, when he gets over here.
I like how you say I make
them. I
mean,
make them.
Is that right by
posters.
the one voter box that's in the middle? Where's the one? Was that one drop off box? It was on North Side, right?
The one in River Oaks.
Yeah. They have one box for like 2.9 million people.
It's located next to the police precinct in River Oaks.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, with a bunch of guns trained on it and guard dogs. But good luck, you can get your thing in there. But yeah, so HICs, and so but from what I've seen, there's been like a mix. There's been like, it's not like one way or the other. There's some people who are very happy about it because there are some schools that are performing very poorly in HISD. And parents are frustrated. They feel like no one's really trying to do anything, right? The big thing was did you hear about the $1 billion deal with iPads?
No, it doesn't surprise me though.
So apparently there was some massive deal that went down regarding iPads, and it ended up not happening. But the amount of bloat and things that occurred, I think they would have spent so much money on something when they're having problems just dealing with students or taking care of students. So once again, a lot of people don't feel like HISD's priorities are straight. So TA's taking them over. No, I don't think there's not much the HISD can do. I think there's going to probably be
All right, so let me chime in on this.
Yeah.
Let me give you a timeline of what happened. So, dude, it's a multifaceted story here. Okay, first one, the board members. They seem to be divided based on race. Okay,
right.
It's the African American board members and it's the Hispanic board members, and like the one Asian lady who sides with Hispanics and blacks, like, it's divided down that line. Okay,
right.
And there's been some racial tension among the board members, and whenever it comes time to choose a superintendent, that seems to be like the main factor: race. Will he be a Hispanic one, or he be an African American one?
Right.
And their board meetings are very contentious. They fight a lot. They fight a lot with each other.
Right.
Okay. That's one thing. Now, HISD did have failing schools. All right. Pre-COVID, failing schools.
Well, they keep trying to sing a lot Wheatley. I think they kept saying like Wheatley was like had several F's on it. I think that's part of this whole controversy.
Well, what ended up happening was COVID made things so much worse because you had these first graders who started doing this homeschooling thing or whatever for a year and a half or whatever. It was a year and a half.
Year and a half.
They came back to third grade not knowing how to count or add or subtract or nothing. Okay. Now, normally that's normal for some schools in HISD without COVID, but because of COVID, it made that number much greater.
Right.
Okay. So you had that part. And so a lot of schools started failing because of that. So you had your schools who were already failing just tanked. And the schools that were doing okay started failing. And the schools that were really good started doing okay. Right. That's what happened.
Okay. Good.
And the third thing is the bloat, like you mentioned, the budget. This school district is so massive. It collects so much money. They don't know what to fucking do with it. Okay. They waste it. They have so many programs. They have so many resources that are redundant, that all do the same thing. And I'm pretty sure they've lost track of it. There's no way you can keep track of all these resources that you give teachers and tell the teachers all about these resources in the time that you're given. I mean, somebody that I know works at HSD,
Right.
tells me that there's so much money wasted on these resources that there's just no way to know all of them or what they do or how to work them. Okay. So yeah, it needs to be taken over. The budget needs to be looked at again and see who are these vendors that they're giving their money to and why. Why isn't there competition with school supplies? You know, Teacher Heaven is the exclusive provider of school supplies to HISD.
Right.
That's no bid contract. There's you can't go anywhere but that store
Right.
to buy your school supplies. So it needs to be looked at. It's too large of a district. You know, there are too many kids for them to fail. You got to understand that every day that some kid doesn't learn, it's a day wasted, and then the next day, and then the next day. Pretty soon, you have a kid who lost an entire year. He didn't learn shit,
Right.
and that's it. You're moving on to the next grade. And what did you do? You ruin this kid. You're ruining the next class that he's in because now the teacher's got to go back and teach him shit that he should have learned 2 years ago. And you ruin the entire district this way. This has to be looked at. The system has to be taken out and reviewed and revised and revamped. And hopefully we'll have a better district. Now, the thing with the vouchers, I don't agree with it too much because you're better as a community than a separate. Okay, for example, HSD collects a lot of money because everyone gets pulled into HISD. But if you start breaking people apart, you're going to have a lot of charter schools and private schools that aren't that great, and they're not very well funded.
Well, you know but see, that's a huge problem. Yeah, that's a huge.
You're not well funded.
Right?
Yeah, you got a lot of these charter schools and private schools that they're gonna be receiving vouchers, but they're not going to be well funded. See, HISD is well funded.
It is very well funded.
It's very well funded because everyone gets pulled together.
Right.
But if you start breaking it up, you're going to have a lot of little schools that aren't well funded.
Right.
So now nobody learns.
Yep. No, I
the way
they
should have fixed this. The way they should have fixed this is taking away zoning. Just because you live in third ward doesn't mean you have to go to a third ward school. Okay, give parents the choice to move their kids around within the school district because taxes are already going to the school district as a whole, not to a specific school. Mm-hmm. So if I'm a parent that doesn't want my kid to go to Whitley, I want him to go to like Mark Twain or Roberts.
Right.
That should be my choice.
Well, but the problem is everyone's going to want to go to Mark Twain or Roberts and not go to Wheatley. Now that's the other part about
fix Wheatley then.
Well, that's the other part about the school system is it's also based on attendance, right? I mean, so if you don't have students attending schools, that's how they also, because every school has a fight for their budgets also, right? So if you have Wheatley and their budget's all jacked, and because nobody is like going to Wheatley because it's shit. And then all of a sudden now you have overcrowding at, Roberts or Mark Twain, all these other places. And that's a problem too. So that I think to just kind of like let everyone know where this kind of came from. It's because under state law, so basically if a school does poorly over 5 years, right? Then basically they can take over a school district. And so they saw Wheatley doing I guess Wheatley is the one on center. It's in third ward, is a school that did poorly for the last 5 or 6 years. So the state's been trying to interject saying, you need to fix it. It has not been fixed. So now that's why the state took over. That's how they were able to get in, was the mismanagement or whatever's going on in Wheatley High School. But yeah, you're not going to get, unfortunately, with school vouchers, it's going to destroy the public schools, right? Because the average cost of a private school in Houston is anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000 a year. Even with these $8,000 vouchers, like you said, these are not going to be the greatest private schools, right? I mean, these are going to be charter schools and stuff that are not that good.
Yeah.
And they're going to be the cheaper ones. And, and unfortunately that's something we've seen a lot, at least in the DFW area, is there's been a couple of football players. I think one in particular, there was a a school. Well, I mean, the funny one's the Yeezy school, but there was one ran by, I forgot, a professional football player, and I forgot who it was. I won't name names because Lord knows I don't want to get sued, but he ran like a charter school program, right? And lo and behold, they were just taking the money. Kids weren't even being taught. They were just like kids were just kind of rounded up in a room and sat down all day and not really even learning anything. And then one day they go to the school and it's locked out because, of course, they squandered all the money. They lost it and they had legal battles. And guess what? Everything went to shit and they locked all the kids out. So now you got parents with kids that don't have a school. So that's a real reality with some of these charter schools, especially the ones that'll be running on tighter margins, because there's going to be people that can only afford what the state gives. And so it does cause a lot of a variance in the quality of education you'll be receiving. So it's still a problem, right?
Yeah, it's still a problem.
It's still a problem.
It is.
So
I
it's
just
crazy.
think that zoning is a stupid idea.
Well, you can't, you have to have zoning because you can't have everyone coming from Third Ward going to Roberts. You can't, or vice versa. Let's say all of a sudden Wheatley gets gangster and they take care of their shit. Now all of a sudden everyone wants to go to Wheatley. That you can't do that. That doesn't work. That does not work.
Maybe, maybe have a team of like teachers that turn the school around. The district should just say, okay, everyone in this school's fired. We're going to bring in a brand new team of teachers and we're going to get this shit together.
Right. I imagine. Well, but you can't do that necessarily. There's a lot of teacher unions. There's a lot of
fuck those teacher unions, man.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
What? There's no teacher unions in charter school. There's no teacher unions in charter school.
Right, but I think
so maybe that's why they're winning out.
No, charter schools are not doing that great. Like I told you, there's several schools out here that are charter schools that are not only getting piss poor performance when the state grades them, very few of them do much better than D's on the state grading scale. Now, could that be biased because, of course, public it is a public scale, so maybe there is some type of bias, but they're not performing great. So that's the problem. Is that now you're going to try to, and I hate to kind of draw this a similar comparison to it, but it's like private prisons, right? You have the state-run prisons, and then you have the private prisons. Not saying the state-run prisons are wonderful, but private prisons have way more incidences of violence, not only amongst the everything all right? Not only amongst the population there.
I saw a cat.
No, that's funny. I was looking at Rick. You look. I was like, oh shit, he's about to get jacked. Not only amongst the population in the prisons, but the guards. They're overstressed. Higher levels of suicide, rampant issues. They nickel and dime everything. So now these prisoners don't have adequate nutrition, adequate anything. And to be quite honest with you, a lot of them just lock them in their cell all day. So instead of even letting them, you don't need to have weights and equipment and stuff if they're in there 23 hours a day, because it's up to them on what they do. Oh. Well, nonetheless, that's what I'm telling you. So when those private institutions take over those things and to try to make a profit, because that's what these charter schools and these private schools are going to do, it a lot of times ends up in a poor situation, unless of course you pay more money for a better one and you kind of get what you pay for. So it is going to cause that problem. It is going to be a dichotomy, and it is going to rob resources from the public school system, which eventually will just become even worse than it is now.
Pearland is opening a very massive charter school.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's a Harmony school, but it's massive though. It's huge.
Oh yeah, there's money in this, man. I'm telling you, once Abbott signs it, there's gonna be some money in there, dude. There's gonna be a lot of money in there, and a lot. Beyond, you're gonna see a lot of private schools. You're gonna see a lot of secondary religious educations. Like through churches and stuff like that, dude. This is big money.
You know what? What though? What surprised? What kind of? I don't know. It makes me question people who have kids. Is if you had a kid who was in first grade when the pandemic hit, and they're going back to school in third grade, and they don't know how to fucking read or do math. Where were you as a parent when that year and a half, dude? How come you didn't teach your kid how to count or do math
Well,
or
you
read?
can't. Well, you got to remember, ladies' parents are
Why?
working full time.
So was I, dude, and I had time to. No,
Well,
I had time. I was working full time.
I
I was
get
running a
it.
business,
I
you know,
get
and
it.
I was reading to my kids. I was teaching them numbers. You know, we were watching shit that was educational,
Well, but you do have one advantage though.
and by some grace of God, now they're the smartest kids in the class,
Well,
and
but
they shouldn't be.
you do have an advantage though, right? That's fucked up.
What's my?
You do well. You're part of a you're part of a dual household, right? You and your spouse are still together. Imagine as a single parent.
Yeah.
You got to put your feet in those shoes, man. Single parents having to deal with working full time, no lack of spousal support, things of that nature, and then trying to be not only the breadwinner but the teacher all in one role. Dude, that's a tough ride,
Hey, no one
man.
said it
That's
was
a
easy,
tough ride.
man. Hey, no one said it was easy.
I understand, but a pandemic does not make it easier. So that poor kid who, like you said, in third grade can't read, might be because his mom was working a lot of hours to try to make money that is worth less and less every day.
Yeah.
Trying to pay for now I think the average rent's $1,400 for a single 1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah, that's pretty
Serious shit.
expensive, actually.
So that's what I'm telling you. So these poor
Yeah.
people are out there. So I'm not gonna
And
thumb my nose at any of that shit. I mean, those poor people are
and then
pretty
you would
fucked right
think
now.
you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna rent a little lot and buy myself a mobile home. Well, fuck you, man.
Oh, dude,
The bank
I don't
wants
even
that
want
shit
to get into
too.
that. Oh God, ladies and gentlemen. Oh God,
Yeah,
we
I
don't want to
know.
get into the
That's a
mobile
whole other
home
rabbit
thing.
hole.
It's horrible. It's horrible. But moving on after that, I do think we're going to mention something. There was another situation. So, unfortunately, there was another Fort Hood soldier found dead after
Oh,
telling
that's
her
not good.
family about sexual harassment. This is when, of course, we're talking about the unfortunate death of Private Ana Basuda Ruiz,
Yeah,
who basically
another one.
told her family, she was a 20-year-old Army private who told her family that she was being sexually harassed, was, of course, found dead this week. She was from Long Beach, California, had served for 15 months as a combat engineer with the 1st Cavalry Division, joined the Army in 2021. Fort Hood officials says she died on March 13th, but they have not released any information about the cause or manner of her death. They are saying, of course, there's no foul play evident. Of course, they're saying
bullshit.
but they said they were going to conduct a very thorough thing. Yeah, man. If we're going to start, with all this budget talk, maybe we should close Fort Hood because
Fuck yeah, man.
There's something bad going on there. This is another woman, another sexual harassment type situation.
Not only to close it, but tear it down and then plant a sage farm because there's so many goddamn souls in there.
Yep.
I mean,
something's going on, dude.
Yeah.
There's something bad in that place. So and it's even basically proven. So there's a study released in 2021 by the Ran Arroyo Center, which is a federally funded research group, found that women at Fort Hood had a far higher risk of sexual harassment than the average woman in the Army. Researchers found that the total sexual assessment risk to Army women at Fort Hood was 8.4% compared with 5.8% for women in the Army. That's a substantial difference. Unfortunately, apparently we've done nothing. We lost what's her name?
Nothing.
Gillian a couple of years ago. Poor thing. That was just horrible. And now we lose another young lady who also seems to have told her family about the sexual harassment. So it's very. Go ahead.
What's Washington doing about this? Probably nothing.
Nothing. But they can get $200 billion for SVB Bank in 28 hours.
Oh yeah.
Very quickly. They can do that, but they're not. When we see young women being sexually harassed and then leading to some type of demise, of course they're not talking about it because they don't want to make this more of a story than it already is. But they don't do anything. They do nothing. So We will keep hot in the heels on this one. We just definitely want to mention it, as we will probably be looking a little bit more into this, but something's definitely going on still at Fort Hood, and we do feel very, very, very sorry for this family. So our condolences go out to her, and
Yeah.
we definitely pray for them. We hope that in the end, she does find some type of, they find some type of peace. But we will be on this, and we will continue to talk about it, because this is a big, big deal. There's more going on in Fort Hood that needs to be, and young women need to be protected in that area.
Yeah, I think we're the only ones talking about this shit,
Yeah,
honestly.
we always are.
I mean,
We
yeah, there was
always
a New
are.
York, but we're the ones that keep it on this Fort Hood stuff, because we know something's going on in there, man. There has to be.
Well, I
At
mean, they're
this
running
rate,
studies, right? They're
I
running
mean,
studies saying this place is more dangerous for women. I mean, this is the military. The people that are supposed to protect Americans aren't protecting their own soldiers. I mean, what
yeah,
does that say? I mean, what kind of
we're no
culture
better than
does that?
Russia.
Well, what kind of culture does that propagate amongst soldiers, women soldiers? I mean, I couldn't imagine it. So, anyways, very, very sad. It's continuing. And also, I want to go and give a shout out to another unfortunate passing this week, was Lance Reddick. A lot of people don't know he was an actor in John Wick. He was the main bellhop at the Continental Hotel. He also was a voice actor for Destiny, the video game. He was in several different parts. He was in, I believe, The Wire. Big, very, very famous actor. If you've seen John Wick, he's the bellhop who takes John Wick's dog whenever he's about to take care of business, and he says, "Will you take care of my dog?" He goes, "Yeah, I got it." But he was actually did several other parts in the film. But if you've seen the movie, you know who he is. Characteristically, he had a very unique voice. He passed on. It's kind of crazy, because even my own kiddo was like, "Hey, Dad, did you know the guy that voiced this particular character in Destiny is gone?" I was like, "Yeah, And so it kind of funny how it it reached every spectrum of people. So rest in peace. Died unexpectedly, and they seem to be from natural causes. So make sure you guys are taking your health as a priority. But moving on to a little lighthearted, I guess, ending for this particular show, because we can probably go all the time.
I saw.
These amazing things you see at the rodeo, right? I mean, what's at the rodeo?
Dude.
You got cows, right? You got chili cook-offs. You got musical acts. I myself saw the last performance of a Selena.
You were there.
I was there. I was there for her last performance.
Shit,
yes, I was. Me and my little sister went to see her performance. It was crazy.
I listened to that album, dude. They actually made that as an album. It's fucking awesome.
Oh, dude, that performance was fantastic. I mean, if she wore, I think that was that purple outfit, killed it. Great concert. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, a lot going on there. I mean, you got great food, good times, lots of beer, and some celebrities in the crowd. Right, Rick? I mean,
yeah. I saw a local celebrity, an Instagram influencer.
Oh, an influencer. Is that what you call her? What is she influencing? What exactly is she influencing?
Well, I mean,
bad thoughts,
me, really. Me, she's influencing me, and maybe like 1.7 million other dudes.
What?
And she has an OnlyFans.
Oh boy!
Also,
boy.
Where you can pay for services.
A lot of influencing. So, but well, hold on. Before we go too much into it, what I love about this whole thing is that you were able. There's millions. Imagine, ladies and gentlemen, there's millions of people that go to the rodeo throughout the whole time it's here. Usually crowds of 50 to 75,000 people on a given day or night. And you were able to pick her out, which is, I mean, a little disturbing, but also commendable. You're like the Chinese AI face recognition system for Instagram influencers, apparently.
I spotted her a mile. Okay, so what happened was this. I was at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. I thought it'd be a fun day to take my wife and kids and my wife's in-laws.
Your wife
and my wife's parents. Because they wanted to enjoy the experience with our kids,
I bet they did.
We head out there. I'm doing my shit. I'm trying to keep the kids in order. The in-laws are like going off on their own thing, and My kids are enjoying the thing. There's this armadillo. There's this guy dressed as an armadillo, and he's taking pictures with everybody. My kids are so happy to see this guy. So I'm going, and I lead my kids to the armadillo, and I turn around because I'm walking back to, back up at the camera, and I see this nice young lady that I follow on Instagram.
You follow?
Who? Huh?
What,
yeah, I follow her on Instagram.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude. Of course I follow her. Come on, how am I going to recognize her?
Well, does she have a lot of
anyway,
good old content? A lot of happy content?
She has some really good content. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Some funny bits, but mostly
you mean she wears little funny bits, like little bits.
Let's just say she's a lingerie model, okay? But I don't know any other brands that she advertises or whatever. But anyway, she's there.
Right.
And I see her, and she's right behind me, dude. And I'm like, oh my God, you're that Instagram influencer that I see all the time on my feed. That's awesome.
Oh boy.
And I know that she's in Houston, because she always talks about it, and she's Vietnamese, so she's one of the Vietnamese population here.
Oh boy.
And at this point, I have my phone on the camera, ready to go to take a picture of my kids. But I'm thinking to myself, should I tell my wife to take a picture with me and this girl?
No.
Or maybe have my in-laws, my father-in-law hold the camera and take a picture of me and this girl if I ask her for a picture. Because he too is holding the camera, taking a picture of my kids. And I'm like, holy shit, this is a perfect opportunity.
Oh boy.
But then I started thinking about it, and I was like, maybe it would not be a good idea to ask my wife to take a picture with me and this girl who is famous on Instagram for being slutty.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh
and
boy.
Being that my wife is Vietnamese and this girl's Vietnamese, they might get talking. They might get to talking. Okay.
Oh boy. It'd be like, he really follows me. He likes everything very quickly.
Man, he would not leave my DMs alone.
Oh boy.
He keeps sending me pics of a phallus of some sort. Can you please tell your husband to stop?
He keeps begging and crying. Something. I don't know. He sends all these messages of "I love you" and him and just beds filled with $100 bills.
Do you realize your husband cuts himself every time I say no?
He commits like Matam. You just swing that rope, hitting your back. You love me. You're gonna love me. So
wow.
So man,
anyway,
some people are looking for Beyonce, and you found influencer. Good job. I'm happy.
Yeah. So long story short, I didn't ask my wife. I actually pretended.
Who says don't meet your heroes?
I turned around. Exactly, but I did it. I took one for the team. I decided to just go ahead and take a picture of my kids, and when I look back, she had gotten tired of waiting for me to take a picture of my kids, and she left, and I didn't get to take a picture with her.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So close, but so far.
And as I was walking to the thing, to the show, I told my wife, I said, "Hey, did you realize that there was an Instagram influencer behind us?" And she goes, "No, really? Who?" I said, "Well, you wouldn't know her." And she's like, "What's she famous for?" And I said, "Well, she's famous for being slutty on the internet." She's like, "Oh, okay."
I love how she didn't question.
I didn't tell her anything about
taking
taking a picture with her.
I love how she questioned. She didn't even question. Like, "Oh, thanks. I'm so glad you told me." Like, why would you even say that? Like, I almost, part of me is just like, what?
Because actually, I was actually very excited to see this girl. I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm seeing you in real life. It was that kind of, I was starstruck.
Oh boy. And this
and
is how.
To tell somebody. I didn't.
And this is how I met your mother. This is the beginning of This Is How I Met Your Mother.
Wait, you think I'm going to end up with this influencer?
Oh boy. And oh boy. No, I hope not. Because you know what? I don't think.
I sent you a picture of her, right?
Yeah, I did. So, oh boy. I know you're like sharing like pictures of her with me. You're like, oh, I know she loves me. She's here.
And Ben was telling me to stay away from her. And I'm like, what? She seems like a really nice girl.
No, that was me. I was like, run as far away as you can. Because you know what? I don't think that has what you're looking for this time of your life. Really? Plus, you got a good thing going. So, with that being said, we definitely have a lot of interesting things. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I think Benjamin James will probably be editing as much as he possibly can to try to keep us from completely torching our own reputations. But he will also probably let you know what the social medias are. But we can go ahead and quote where we're at right now on Twitter. I am at Mexican Nostradamus. Rick, where you at? What's your Twitter?
I am at Brown
The
Python.
the Brown Python, aka Mr. Pervy. I will be.
I'm also at Rick Blue Check because they wouldn't give me a blue check, so I had a.
It's $8, right?
I was at Rick Blue Check. Yeah.
Oh, I like that. It's $8 now or something. Huh, it's pretty cool.
I'm not gonna pay that shit, man.
Yeah,
Fuck
neither.
that.
Never mind. I don't know. I tweet every once in a while. It's probably not very prophetic or anything, but nonetheless, if you guys get bored, if you have any suggestions for the next show, please hit us up on there. Benjamin James will probably put what our email is and other ways to contact us. And if you want to be on the show, who knows? Maybe we can get you on. We can kind of talk about what's going on. But that being said, we hope you guys have a good night. If you see your friendly influencer, be careful.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Maybe not the best time to take a picture of them whenever you have your family with you. But with that being said,
yeah, I know.
Yeah, keep it real, represent, and you guys be safe out there. Like.